Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Perspective. We'll be talking about the opposition, namely PTI, and their refusal to participate in national unity initiatives that we've recently seen. We'll be talking about this failure to engage that we've seen for a while with regard to the opposition, and of course the recent social media and the fact that there are certain accounts that have been linked to content that has clearly been disruptive to our national narrative as far as the recent attacks in Balochistan are concerned. We'll be talking about this. We'll also be talking about overall, when we talk about inflammatory protests or we talk about rigid stance, boycotts, stance in politics, where does this lead the opposition? We've seen recently what is being said on social media. We've also seen recently, this failure to engage by the opposition, which is extremely important in a parliamentary style of politics in a democracy. And there's a consistent failure to do that. We'll be talking about the ramifications of this development for the political scene and for the opposition themselves, where we see a government clearly moving along in flow, towards what they had planned and their goals. Where does this leave the opposition, and what are the options available for the opposition if this style of politics continues like we've seen? All of that today on Perspective. I have with me Daniyal Sheikh, who's a political analyst. Thank you for being with us today. We also have with us Mustafa Baloch, who is Sindh government spokesperson. Thank you for joining us. And Uzma Kardar from the PML-N. Thank you for joining us today. Let me start with Daniyal. Daniyal, we've seen, we know these certain certain social media accounts which have been linked with the former Prime Minister and head of PTI. How do you look at these developments when these kind of proofs are coming forward, these kind of investigations are coming through, and they are leading us to this information which is clearly anti nationalistic, because we've seen what happened in Balochistan, and clearly the lives that were lost there, the role of our armed forces, spinning it, giving it a different color is clearly anti-Pakistan, and it's aiding that narrative. How do you look at it?
Basically, more than anti, like you said, it's anti-Pakistan, more than anti-government, it's anti-state. And you see, right from the start, this party has relied very much on false information. They have been famous for playing to the galleries. If you remember, when this man that you just mentioned, when he became Prime Minister, the first speech that Bilawal Bhutto gave, in that he tried to talk some sense into him when he said that now you're not just the Prime Minister of the people you addressed on the container, you're the Prime Minister of Pakistan.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, they've never been able to come into the mainstream, or they've never been able to become part of national politics. And it's very unfortunate, and now these kind of things, to me, they doesn't come as a shock. They've been very much engaged right from the start in misleading the youth, first creating false hope in them, and when they were trying to come into power, and now to create anarchy, they're further escalating that same agenda of false information. It's very unfortunate, and I personally believe that now it's high time that the government needs to take some action on this, to, if not curtail it, at least expose it, that these social media handles, they're being operated by these people, and they have a hidden vested interest agenda. And the agenda is the same. Like, for example, if you look at all their protests, there were always the days that they chose to come and assemble in Islamabad. It was always a day in which some foreign dignitary is coming to Pakistan, or something else which could potentially give us economic prosperity is about to happen. They're going to assemble, they're going to create an anarchy. So their entire purpose is basically to create anarchy and further unfortunately, there is a very strong divide, further ethnically divide people.
Let me come back to you on that, Daniyal. Let me go to Uzma and then I'll come back to you. Uzma, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Uzma, other than, of course, what it means for, whether it means anything at all for the government, we'll talk about that and how, if it's any, of any importance overall. But the question is, as far as the democratic process is concerned, when you look at the importance of dialogue, when you look at the importance of participation, of, of being able to, let's say, influence legislation or governance, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes. Do you think that as an opposition, the PTI is losing its ability to do either of those things?
Thank you so much for inviting me. I think it is a very sad situation that a party which once upon a time claimed to be political has now totally gone off track and is now working in the direction of the kind of narrative which you will find across the border when you see any Indian channel. The kind of narrative that they put forth, that is the kind of narrative which is coming from this so-called political party. uh, this is something which is anti-state, and it is something which we need to look at very seriously. uh, when this Jafar Express tragedy took place, these people, they were also talking in the same terms, and were talking the language of BLA, were talking the language of raw. uh, we saw that from their own official Twitter handles. You could see this malicious campaign against the state institutions, and piling all the blame on our forces, that they have failed in their intelligence and they have failed in countering terrorism, and that is why we are facing that is why we are facing this situation. So, all these, I think, this mindset in which these people are being incited, they are being led astray, and it's this responsibility of the leadership. Here, the leadership has totally failed, because the gentleman who's sitting in Adiala, he is so focused on himself, because he thinks that he is the end all be all of everything, and the whole party starts and ends with him in the prime minister's seat. So he is willing to sacrifice, he's willing to stake everything which is there. Right now, this party is more a party which thrives on social media, and the kind of populist politics that the leadership is playing, it is based on total propaganda, false news, fake news, and all kinds of fabricated lies. So, as a government and as the state, we need to fix this, because it is
I want to come to
detrimental.
this, Uzma. I think you've said it. You're saying that we need to fix this. The question is, how does the government fix it?
Yes.
The state fix it?
First of
Those
all,
are.
we have
Let me
to.
come back to you. Uzma. I will come back to you on that. I'm going to include Mustafa also. Then I'll come back to you. Mustafa, you heard what Uzma is saying. She's saying that there has to be a point where things stop, and it's now for the government or the state to fix it. The thing is, one of the major issues at this time for the government, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that these people are in the parliament. They form a large chunk of your parliament. They form a large chunk of your, voting legislature. They are very much a part of your opposition. How do you curtail then, that the voice that they want to give, when even when it seems to be at this time clearly to be anti-state? Mustafa?
First of all, Mahrukh, thank you for having me on your show. I'm not sure what can we expect from a party who avoids to attend a national security meeting at this crucial time. I mean, this shows their sanity. This shows that they are not at all serious about the security of the country. They are only concerned about how to get Mr. Imran Khan out of Adiala and then shift him to PM House. So this is the only agenda of a party who is unfortunately in in this position where we have to, consider them as a political party in parliament, although they are not acting as one. I mean, they have been given a lot of chances to act as a political party, to act as an opposition, but they are failing to it. So, I mean, this is a very sad situation, because obviously, in every democracy, there is an opposition, there's a government, and both work together. Right now, the opposition is in a very bad situation. I mean, they have been given many chances to for dialogues or for discussions, but they have shown lack of interest. And we can't just like as a political party, we can't just pull them towards the right track.
But
It's
what
they,
are the
they, they
alternatives, Mustafa? What are the alternatives for you as part of the coalition, and what are the alternatives for the government at this time?
I mean, the alternative is just to focus on the right thing and just, not take this thing very seriously, because they will disappoint you time and again. And they have done that. They have a history of that. So rather than focusing on PTI, that how to, comfort them, how to give them, space, or how to, make them easy in this environment, I think so. They will never be comfortable with anything. They have high demands. They don't consider judiciary. They don't consider the parliament. They don't consider anything. So I
Mustafa,
mean,
let me come back to you. Fair enough. Let me go to Daniyal. Daniyal, one of the issues is also that there is, clearly an anti-state stance that is being chosen. Do you think that, and for a while we saw there was some thawing, we saw that there seemed to be some middle ground. To what do you attribute this clear defiance now, and this move, this kind of a rigorous going back to their anti-inflammatory, inflammatory stance, not anti, but inflammatory stance, and going back to that? Because in the middle we saw that there seemed to be some room for maneuvering. There seemed to be perhaps, more saner voices at the time. Now they seem to have been subdued again.
See, the saner voices or other voices don't matter. It's just one voice that matters. It's all this is being done for one person or on the behest of one person. And like I agree what Mustafa Baloch was just telling us. See, the more attention, what the government I believe should do is expose it, but that's it. You cannot. There's a limit to how much pressure you can exert on them. As once you expose them in the masses. And secondly, see, now the government is working on a lot of positive things. For instance, see, the whole agenda behind destabilizing Balochistan is to sabotage CPAC. So if that is exposed to the masses and the masses are educated on that, they will very well understand that this what the actual agenda is. See, because in democracy, whether we agree with them or not, the government, it's one of its fundamental duties to show restraint. Unless it's gone beyond, like for example, when they come and block the roads and when they attack state buildings, and obviously that's a limit where the state has to then maintain its writ. But as far as this social media and this kind of stuff is concerned, I personally believe in this day and age, it's almost humanly impossible to completely curtail it. The best strategy that I think as a political analyst is that the government should just expose this. And more than that, they need to educate the people on what they're trying to do and why these people or what they're trying to sabotage. See, if you look, if you go back in history, when this party was in power, they completely backrolled CPAC. No work was done on Govt. Whereas now, and before that, we were moving very fast on Govt. The progress on Govt is very fast. Now again, we've started seeing progress on it. So the whole agenda behind this whole anarchy that they're creating, be it this party, be it BLA, be it TLP, be it all these other banned outfits, it's the same. So the most you can do, like if you give them the more attention we're going to give them, or the more serious we're going to take them, that's exactly what they want.
Right.
So and as far as what you were saying, that we saw some change in the past. I don't think I personally didn't see any change. In fact, they've done much worse in the past, like trying to attack the Parliament House, trying to enter red zone, trying to sabotage visits of foreign dignitaries of our friend countries like China. So those sins that they've done in the past, they're beyond redemption. And like I've often said in your program before, there's this famous saying that the definition of insanity is trying the same thing over and over again and expecting.
But they expect. On that, Uzma, you were earlier saying that there is what does the government plan to do to deal with this anti-state narrative, which is backed by various social media accounts which have come to light. What does the government propose to do? Is it like Daniyal here is saying, and Mustafa also, that really the government will continue to focus on what's important to them, which is development, which is economy, which is their own goals, and leave this entirely to the people? Is that the way forward, in your opinion?
Mahrukh, everybody knows that in their 3.5 years of PTI government, the bad governance was written all over the place. The poor governance, was so great that this particular party had become unpopular, and Khan's policies had totally gone down the drain. In fact, people really were sick and tired of that government because it was not delivering at all. So the best way to counter is through good governance. And I think if this is what our government is focused on in the center as well as Punjab, that we are trying to get the economy back on track. Now the dollar is stable. You've seen the stock market is going through the roof. The interest rate has been brought down from 23 to 12%. Inflation has been curtailed from 28. It is now in single digit, practically 2 or 3. So these are the measures which our government is focusing on to facilitate, to make life easier for the common man. And we are trying our best to, come up with policies, people-friendly policies, and improving our governance as far as the health sector is concerned, as far as education is concerned, food security. So all these things, they come in a package. They will definitely make a difference, and they are making a difference. But the second thing is that when this party uses social media as a weapon. Now, let me repeat it again. They use social media as a weapon, not just in Pakistan to misguide people, but all over the world. They do it internationally. And you know how the modern day communication is. It takes 2 seconds to make a fake news viral, and they thrive on it. When this impacts our national security, this cannot be tolerated. So, Mahrukh, here we have to draw the line. What is happening now, the crackdown on some of these accounts from where you have malicious propaganda against your state, against your state institutions, and against Pakistan's national security, the state has to clamp down on these people. No matter what happens, we cannot allow this. It is detrimental to our survival. So therefore, what you see right now, and it's unfortunate because you see, social media and the use of the internet has many positive aspects, and we lose out on those positives. Digitalization is the way of the world. People can sit and earn in their homes, and this is where Pakistan lags behind. If we curtail,
right, I agree with you. Let me come back to you. Mustafa, you heard what Uzma is saying. She's saying that really, it's about for the government, the buck stops where it becomes anti-state, the narrative. The question is, of course, that those things are also in front, but one has to acknowledge that this party has a very real voter base, and I think we've spoken about this before. I think that Uzma would agree, and Daniyal also. It's hard to disagree that they have a vote bank. The real question is, do you think that exposing this narrative, that these people or these leaders are behind this anti-state narrative that is being put forward, which is benefiting those that are involved in killing our children, killing the Pakistanis, our brothers. We saw what happened as far as Jafar Express incident is concerned, will have an impact on that voter base, because really, that is where the government also will gain and that is where really the success of our narrative and the success of the government as acknowledgement of their policies and where they're taking the country will come.
Well, Mahrukh, the situation post general election has changed. Now you can't just believe that that vote bank is still intact. I don't think so. People are regretting right now. I think those who have voted them, because what is happening in KPK, it's very evident in front of everybody. They are see, with vote bank you get certain responsibility. It's not that you just get a vote bank and you can do anything anytime, and you can create a chaos in the country, and uh, act as an insane political party with no morals, no nothing. So I mean, this is what is happening with PTI. So we can't just linger it on till 5 years and just keep them satisfied, and just so it won't happen, and they are being exposed themselves. We don't want to do that.
Do you think that so
We as
Mustafa,
a
you
political
think
party, the Pakistan People's Party, is focused on their.
so let's
Yes,
talk
just
about
let me
KP.
complete. Pakistan
Ji.
People's Party as a political party believes that the only thing that will make this party PTI irrelevant is performance. We are totally striving on that. We are working on the countering energy crisis. We are working on development projects with public-private partnership. So we are working on these kind of programs so that we can uplift the economy, which has been destroyed by PTI and Mr. Imran Khan. So we want to just bring some change for the people of Pakistan so that they forget what happened, because we have to do it. This is the only option.
Do
We
you
can't
think
just
that you've made it, you think you said that the situation isn't what it was in the elections? Do you think that, it's been a little more than a year, I think. You think that the, the vote bank, for example, in KP, you've made a sufficient dent there, you or the PML-N, or, for example, your coalition partners, and in terms of the vote bank?
Mark, that will be decided during the elections. But right now, what happened with KPK, what is happening in KPK, the voters are actually disappointed, because either they wanted them to act as a sane political party, because from nowhere there was like uh, uh, a point of view within PTI that they will contest elections, they will form a federal government, they will form a provincial government, they will get Imran Khan out of the jail, and they will bring certain changes. But nothing is happening, because they are not acting as a political party. They are not considering parliament as a parliament. They are only believing in street protest. The chief minister of KPK is also not. I don't think so. He's performing as the voters expected him to. So there is a lot of disappointment within PTI, within PTI's voters, within the higher ranks of PTI, I believe. So this will, with few years, I mean, not few months, but with few years, the voters will automatically shift back to their own uh, parties, like either PML-N or People's Party or Maulana Fazlur Rahman. So KPK is not going to give the same result in the next elections.
Daniyal, do you agree? You think that it's going to eventually, erode their voter base? We were also talking about KP earlier, and how, of course, as far as state institutions is concerned, there's a narrative against state institutions. Yet we see a clearly, as far as the approach to using state institutions to further the causes of the party itself, we've seen as far as PTI as a political party during protests is concerned, clearly state apparatus is used from the KP. That is something that's there. In terms of what the situation is within KP is also there. Do you think that it is impacting that voter base, or do you think that those voters remain loyal to their to PTI as a political party? Because that will be the ultimate win. Every political party, of course, the government, the state wants Pakistan to succeed, there's no doubt about that, but every political party wants to gain in terms of votes.
Well, in my opinion, see, during the election, although the leader was incarcerated, still they managed to get a mandate in Pakhtunkhwa. And I don't think with the current way of handling the situation, I don't think that it's affecting the vote bank in that way.
Okay.
Because see, I personally, as what Uzma was just telling us, I believe that an eye for an eye will make the whole world blind. So I I'll give an example of Balochistan.
You think there should be stronger punitive action?
Absolutely, they need to be exposed rather than by force. Unless and until you expose them before, first you need to expose them, and then you should take an action against them. Like the example I'll give you, like they say, if you give a dog a bad name and then you kill him. Na? For a hypothetical scenario, if a dog walks in here and I shoot him, everyone would say I'm an evil person. But if I tell, before he walks in, I tell everyone this dog is crazy and it's bit 4 people, everyone is going to consider me as a hero. So similarly, unless and until their agenda is exposed, the masses are told what they're doing, and more than that, the government needs to bring forward its agenda. The people first, like I said, the only way of getting out of the current economic mess that we are in is CPAC. What CPAC is, what it's going to bring to the region, what it's going to bring to Pakistan, what is Pakistan's role going to be in it. The youth needs to be educated, they need to be given hope, and after that, once they realize, like for example, I'll give you another example. If you go back in 2000, before 2008, when democracy was restored in Pakistan and People's Party came in power in the federal government and ANP in Pakhtunkhwa, before that there was, as far as the war on terror was concerned, there was a big confusion. A lot of people, even in my own hometown, they were confused when martyrs of the military and police used to come, whether to go to their funerals or not. To this extent there was confusion. Now what the civilian government did is they made a peace agreement in Swat with the Taliban, which the Taliban broke, and that was the turning point where they got exposed and people realized their agenda is something else, it's not Islam. And after that, the whole situation changed, and those people who were giving their lives for our country, they were again considered heroes. The whole nation stood behind the armed forces, and we saw great progress. So without doing that, so right now need of the hour is a national consensus, a national unity, and all these anti-state actors need to be exposed before going against them. If you just across the board, we were talking about, Uzma was saying, was digitalization. See, now the problem with curtailing social media or the internet is the economic implications. See, e-commerce is a very big industry, it's growing, and we have a share, and there's a lot of outsourcing from first world countries, and people in Pakistan and other third world countries, they get a share of the economic activity. So that also gets affected. So there's a limit to how much force we can use. See, I'll give you an example. There was this very famous historian, and he wrote once that in America, he's like, when growing up, I used to tell my kids to finish your food, because kids in China and India and Pakistan don't have food. Now I tell my children, my father used to tell me this, now I tell my children that finish your homework, because kids in Pakistan and India and other third world countries are after your jobs. So now, considering this situation, you need to give free access to internet, you need to give access to social media.
You're saying things have to change. And
absolutely. And as far as the negative aspect is concerned, once you expose it, I don't think the masses don't have an even mentality, because if they do, then the democracy cannot even function. So the whole idea behind democracy, or the whole genius behind democracy, is collective wisdom. So collectively the people sit down, and when they think for the betterment of the masses. So once these people, and exposing them is not difficult. It's no rocket science behind exposing them.
But the question is my question was, is this exposure leading to a loss on their part?
I personally think the exposure is not being done on the level that it should be done.
Okay, fair enough. Let's go to Uzma on that. Uzma, what Daniyal is saying is interesting. He's saying that the exposure is not done on the kind of level or the way that it should be done, by the government, so that it's clearer to the people how, and the way that these accounts are being used, the way that this narrative is being shaped, the way that overall one political party is anti-state. Do you agree with this?
You know something, Mahrukh, I think this is more a case of a storm in a teacup. Simply because they whip up so much hysteria on social media, and we have smartphones in every hand. We think that oh my God, they are now in majority and they have too much support at the ground level. Actually, the ground reality is totally different. You've seen their protests, you've seen their jalsas, you've seen their marches towards the capital. How many people are with them? Hardly anybody comes out for them. They move their They move with government machinery. They move with 1122. They move with the KP police. They use all the taxpayers' resources on attacking the capital. And the poor people of KP, they are without any health facilities. They are without any education. They are without
Point.
any roads.
That is
They
the
have
point,
nothing.
that they should not be in a position to use the state apparatus. They should not have the mandate to do so. You know, they should not, the people, that the rejection should come from the people, and that exposure of the reality should be in front of the, and should be laid bare in front of the people.
See, the thing is that why you guys should stop giving them so much attention when they talk about the mandate of the people. Oh, they have, they say that PTI is the largest party of Pakistan. Is it? For God's sake, I think it doesn't even have 5% of the vote bank of all the people sitting in the parliament. So why blow it out of all proportion? They don't have. That is why they are begging Molana for ground support, because nobody comes out for them. All they can do is whip up hysteria on social media. And believe me, there are two segments. In fact, three segments in PTI. One, people who are part of the system. They are sick and tired of this agitational, so-called agitational politics of Bani PTI. And these are the people who are MNAs, they are MPAs, they are drawing benefits, emoluments, they've got all kinds of positions in the government. So they want the system to continue. But it is this gentleman sitting in Adiala who is so focused on himself reaching the PM house, he doesn't let anybody rest. And then there are the people who are very happy that he's inside Adiala, because if he comes out and all these huge block of lawyers who've suddenly got tickets and who've suddenly become political, like this Salman Akram Raja and all these people, where will they land? What will be their fate? And then they have, then there's the family, and the family is totally pitched against most of these people. The actual political people, the saner element of PTI, that is the segment we need to talk to. That is the segment we need to engage now.
But are
And
you? But that's, I think that you've summed it up very well, and I will come back to you on this question. First, let me take Mustafa. Mustafa, I think something that Uzma said is very, has sort of, I think, should resonate with the saner elements here. That, she's saying that we, as the government also, and overall, there should be engagement with the saner elements within PTI. Because if we look at the parliament, we look at a lot of these, all of these people, and the senior elements, as Uzma terms them, have a vote bank if they've come to the parliament. Do you think that inability to engage is a failure on the part of the government?
I don't think so. I think government has time and again given PTI a lot of chances to engage. And I don't know who are the senior element to talk to, but they have not appeared in national security meeting. I mean, this is a huge evidence that they are not even concerned about the national security. And this is not the first time. Imran Khan, as a prime minister, did not attend the national security meeting in parliament when there was Kashmir issue. When Kashmir was a very critical issue was going on in Kashmir, and he was absent. He did not even care to take the parliament in confidence. All the opposition was there. The only person who was not there was the former Prime Minister Imran Khan. So this shows that this party has a history of disappointing, and they have time and again disappointed with the mandate, or maybe whether they are in the government, whether they are in the opposition. They have disappointed, and they have kept forward the only point that whatever Mr. Imran Khan says.
That disappointment should come through with the votes. That disappointment has to be shown by the vote bank. That disappointment has to come through not by them getting a province to govern. That is the real question, right? Let me go to Daniyal. Daniyal,
let me add something. See, right now, the way Mustafa was just telling us, the point that he made of them not attending national security meeting, it's see, their whole when they used to what's that called the thing? Their whole game plan was a strong local government. Now NFC says that 25% of the share that the provinces are going to get is going to go to the local governments.
Yeah.
Recently, a few months ago, they were given funds after a year to local governments, and 2 days later that funds were withdrawn. Most of the members, elected members of local governments, tehsil governments and district governments were of the ruling party. They all assembled in Peshawar. There was a massive protest. They were baton charged. Tear gas shells were thrown on them. No member of the ruling party took up this issue, which is such a big failure. Or see, the only way of governing is or better governance is through local governments, and their whole the whole that the campaign was based on a strong local government. Similarly, all their other promises that they made, see, the government needs to focus on them and expose them to the masses. Nobody in the National Assembly or in the Senate ever mentioned this issue.
I completely agree with you, Daniyal. The question is that we are right. They have an anti-state rhetoric. They have an anti-state narrative. We've seen the accounts that have been exposed also. They have, but and that they continue to not engage with the government. They continue to not become part of the political process, being in the parliament. They continue to their inflammatory rhetoric continues. But the question is, when will that exposure or that level of exposure come that will cause that will be a problem for them in terms of the vote bank, in terms of their support. That support has to be targeted, that on ground support has to be targeted, and that and Uzma is saying that it's not what it's not what it was, and I think Mustafa also said in terms of the vote bank. The question is, if things are the way they are, they should never have been able to get a province to govern.
See, if I was to say this as a political analyst, it would make sense. But people representing a political party to say this, I don't think it reminds me of that story of the race between a tortoise and a rabbit. See, if they start thinking this while being in government, I don't think that they're doing the job that they should be doing, whereas they should be actively first of all their own agenda, which is of prosperity, which they claim. It should be educated, it should be passed on to the masses. Secondly, the agenda of the opposition party, which I agree is of anarchy, it needs to be exposed. And then their governance, nobody's exposing the governance.
That's what I'm saying. But Uzma is saying that it's really us, the media and the journalists who are making this party relevant. It's actually not so relevant anymore. And how do you respond to that? The fact is, they are in the parliament.
How can they say this whenever a minister of them or a representative, they're always on national television, they get their fair share to defend themselves. Now, if they're not playing a role, and in politics you have to be proactive. You don't have to wait for their next protest. Before that, you have to expose them. Whenever they're going to come and assemble in Islamabad, at that point the interior minister or the information minister will come on television and start exposing them. That's not enough.
That's not enough, right?
If you're going to sit down and say they have lost their mandate, and if you're going to being in government, I don't think that is going to solve the problem. I think that's a very wishful thinking.
Right.
You have to take it head on, and you have to expose them if you want to engage the people in your agenda, which is a positive agenda. I agree.
Uzma, I'm running out of time, but like I said, I want to give you this time and ask you, do you think that the government needs to, for example, they're talking about a protest post Eid, right? So like Daniyal said, the exposure and whatever has to be said about the party, whatever is being expected, whatever is being planned, should come beforehand. That action should be preemptive rather than after the protest and the way that it happens. Do you think that the government is moving towards that, and they are going to start preempting it rather than reacting to it?
But the point is, look at all their previous agitational protests. How many met with success, Mahrukh? I don't think any of them, their 9th May, look at their twice they attacked the capital, and then they tried to protest. Everything falls flat. Everything falls flat because they don't have any ground support. They use their party workers, and then they all disappear. They leave them in the lurch and disappear. What happened? They left all the workers. Not a single MPA, not a single MPA got hurt anywhere. Where were they? Even the Gandapur ran away. His wife ran away. So this party is actually, it's no more a political entity. It is just a collection of people being used, being exploited to gain political sort of agendas. That's how it is. And I think that this so-called protest after Eid, it's going to be a big flop. The Mulana is not with them. Nobody wants is going to come out for them. Why are they getting so much hype? For what? This is going to be another total failure. And why do you think they came to the negotiating table? When the punishments awarded for 9th May, that is when they realize, oh no, we have got ourselves into a lot of trouble. So you see, actually, Mahrukh, now I can foresee a forward block coming up within PTV, within PTI, because people are sick and tired of this. Their political careers are at stake. That is why they have to stick to PTI. Otherwise, there are some people who say that this gentleman sitting in jail, he does not let us focus on anything except himself.
Unfortunately, I'm
So
running
they
out
are
of time. Thank you, Uzma. Mustafa, a quick comment from you. Uzma said that their political careers are at stake. Do you think it's because of the on-ground support, or you think what she's saying is correct? They really have no on-ground support at this time, and the government really, their strategy is to exhaust them.
I think, Mahrukh, there is no point to expose this political party. It's not our job. They are being exposed themselves. We have been elected to serve. We have been elected to bring change, and we are doing that. So we are focusing on that. And I think with due time, this party, this non-serious party, which is PTI, which is exposing themselves very well. I think they are doing a good job in that. So let them expose themselves, and we don't need to expose this whatever they are doing. I think we have a clear agenda to take Pakistan to a point where the youth of Pakistan who have been misled by get a clear approach of progress, of prosperity,
Right.
and
Thank you so much for being with us today. Unfortunately, that's all the time that we have. Thank you for joining us, Daniyal. Thank you for being with us. Mustafa Baloch, thank you for being with us. Uzma Kardar, thank you for joining us today. As far as the government is concerned, they maintain that the political party in question does not have any on-ground support. They also say that it is not a political party. It is not really a political entity for the government, and that there is perhaps a forward block that is likely to come up very soon. Does that happen, or will it not happen? The question is, does the government need to expose the party more, or is it, like members of the government said today, really it's not the job of the government to do so. Their job is to work for the people, and it is for the people to then make the better choice. However one looks at it, let's see what happens post-Eid as far as this protest is concerned, and whether the government's strategy of exhausting them to a point where there is generally a degeneration of the whole party, which is what seems to be the policy at this time. Thank you so much for joining us today on Perspective.